and welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna do a brow tutorial. I'm gonna show you guys how I fill in my brows. I'm gonna try to keep as much original footage as I can without cutting or shortening any clips or anything like that, just so that you guys can see or get a more realistic visual of about how long it takes me to do my brows. It typically does not take me long at all, but since I just said that, now it's gonna take me forever, I'm sure. But let's see how it goes. So what you're gonna need are a brush to apply your foundation or concealer or whatever you choose to carve out your brows with. My favorite is the Morphe M224 brush. I use it on myself, I use it on clients. And then you're gonna need a brush to buff out the foundation or concealer that you're gonna use. My fave is the Morphe E15. You're gonna need a spoolie, and this one is the Morphe R44, but you can get very inexpensive spoolies from Walmart, from Elf, they're like $1. And you're also gonna need a brow pencil, and what I'm using today is the Maybelline New York Brow Ultra Slim brow pencil in the shade Black Brown. It's a bit darker than what I would typically use on myself. I prefer to just use regular brown brow pencils, but I'm gonna use what I got today. To carve out my brows, I am gonna use foundation instead of concealer, just because I feel like foundation matches my skin tone better than concealer. And if you're only doing brows, like if you don't want to do the full shebang, then you would want your foundation or concealer or whatever you're going to use to carve out your brows to match your skin tone, so that you cannot see foundation or concealer and then regular skin. You want it to just all blend in. So I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, one of my favorites. My typical shade is 355, which is this shade here, but I feel like the last time I wore it, it was just a tad bit deeper than my skin tone now. So I am gonna mix a little bit of the shade 344 with 355. And that is what I'm gonna use to clean up my brows. And after I do that, then I am gonna go back in with a pressed powder. This is just the MAC Studio Fix powder in the shade NC42, and I'm going to use the powder to set the foundation around my eyes so that it doesn't start looking crazy throughout the day. So let's get into it. Oh, well, hello. All right, so now that I have zoomed in, I'm gonna try my hardest to stay in frame. It took me forever. This is like my fourth or fifth time trying to record this video, because I was planning on having it up yesterday, but every time I recorded it, I was out of frame. So all you could see was this. So hopefully this will work a little better today. So let's get into it. Okay, so as you can see, my brow hairs are just kind of doing whatever they want to do right now. They're just doing their own thing. So that is where the spoolie comes in. You just take it and brush through your brows. You want to get the hairs going in their natural direction, the direction that they naturally grow in. So I just brush through that. Then I'm going to take my brow pencil. So I'm just gonna use a little handheld mirror so I can get fairly close. Yeah, okay. You're gonna start right at the very bottom of your brow. So I don't know if you can see, but I have brow hairs right down here. So that's where I'm gonna start my outline. And what you do is you basically just trace your natural brow shape. Now, if you have super, super thin natural brows, then you can exaggerate the shape. You just kind of create the shape that you want your brows to have. But I am just gonna outline my natural brow. I start at the bottom and outline there, and then I go to the top and outline. Now me, I'm not a thin brow type of girl, so sometimes I will exaggerate the shape a little bit or the fullness a little bit. But so all I did was outline the bottom, outline the top, and just make the ends meet at a point. After that, I'm gonna take the brow pencil and just do short hair-like strokes. Now, if you can see my natural brow hair, it kind of grows up and then over, up and over, up and over. So that is the same stroke that I'm mimicking, up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. And you just feel that you do the strokes until you fill in your brow to your desired fullness. When you get to the beginning of the brow, naturally it's not that full, so you want to keep it looking as natural as possible. So I'm touching my face really lightly with the brow pencil, and I'm just doing some little strokes, right? So it might look a little crazy now, but then you're gonna go back in with your spoolie and you're going to brush through the brow hairs, which is gonna help distribute the brow pencil evenly. And then you take it at the beginning and just brush. I'm just brushing up, like pushing the product upward. Brow. So now we're gonna fill in my left brow. I am right-handed, trying to fill in my left brow, and my left brow is always a bit difficult for me because I'm reaching over my body to try to fill in the brow, right? So this one is always my problem child, but hopefully she'll act right today. So we're pretty much just gonna do the same process. We're gonna take the spoolie and brush through the brow hairs, get everything going in one direction. All right, then we're gonna go in with our brow pencil, and we're gonna start at the very tip top of where the brow hair is, or the very edge of where the natural brow hair starts. And then we're gonna trace it. We're gonna go to the top and do the same thing. So we have it traced out, and now we're gonna go back and do our hair-like strokes. Again, for my brow hairs grow up and over, so that is the stroke that I'm mimicking. Now the closer I get toward the inside of the brow, or the beginning of the brow, is where I start to use really, really, really light pressure on the pencil and just do a few little short hair strokes. So now that we have the brow filled in, I'm gonna take my spoolie again, and I'm just gonna brush through the brows, brush through the hair, and help to distribute the pencil evenly so that it just all looks seamless, so that it doesn't look darker in some spots or heavier in some spots and lighter in others. So now, I personally feel like I could just leave them like this and go ahead with my foundation and all of that stuff if I'm gonna wear it. But just for the sake of the video, I am going to fill in, or not fill in, but carve out my brows just to sharpen them up. And I'm gonna use my foundation. So let me get that mixed and we'll be right back. So now we're gonna take our, what is this, M224 brush, and we're gonna get a little bit of the foundation mix on the brush. Now you wanna start with a little product as opposed to just going straight in with a ton of product, because that is where the fail is gonna come in. You're gonna apply too much product and it's gonna mess up the brow shape, the foundation that you've already laid down for the brow. So now that I have some on my brush, and I'm looking back here so I can see what I'm doing in the camera. So, okay, but anyway, so now I'm just gonna start. I always like to start in the arch of the brow. Hold on, let me get my mirror. Girl, you're doing too much, Dominique. All right. And then you wanna get as close to the brow as you can without actually touching the brow hairs. And then once I do the arch part and bring it all the way down to the tail, then I go back to the beginning and again get as close to that line that we already traced out as you can without actually touching it. Now we're gonna go on top and do the same thing. But on the top, I always start, well, on my right brow, since I am right-handed, I always start at the beginning of the brow. And I get as close as I can to the tracing that we did without actually touching the brow hair. And when it comes to the ends, you just want to connect that product at a point. So now that that is done, then we're going to take our E15 brush and we're just going to buff out that foundation. And you want to be careful when you're brushing to, or when you're buffing too, excuse me, because you just do not want to affect that brow in any way. Like, you don't want to touch what we've already done as far as with the pencil, the brow pencil. So just take your time, carefully buff it out, and just get as close to that, to the brow as you can without actually touching it. And that just sharpens up the brow a little more. And if you have any kind of mistakes or imperfections with your pencil, this foundation or concealer, whichever you choose to use, is like your eraser. You can fix any imperfections that you have with the pencil, like when you were outlining or tracing the brow. So now we're gonna move on to my left brow. And Jesus is gonna be with us, okay? Because, baby, my left brow, she's a whole donkey. All right, so we got a little more foundation on this M224 brush. And if you hear my mom in the background, she is in town and she is helping with the potty training of my 2-year-old. So they're currently arguing. But I really wanted to do a voiceover just so, or not a voiceover, but a talk through just so that I could try to explain what I was doing to the best of my abilities as I was doing it. All right, so I'm gonna start in the arch again. And I just carefully drag that foundation down to the end of the brow. Then I'm gonna go to the beginning of the brow. And again, get as close as you can to the brow without actually touching it. And you just want to connect the foundation. Now, I'm gonna go to the top. Now on my left brow, when I go to do the top, I always start at the end as opposed to starting at the beginning and dragging it that way, just because it's just easier for me. It's not as awkward of a position when I start at the end and drag it over. Getting as close as I can to the brow without actually touching the brow hairs. And I just follow that tracing that we already did with the brow pencil. Okay, and now I'm gonna go back in with my E15 and I'm going to buff out that foundation. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so now that we have our brows filled in and shaped, I'm just gonna go back in with the brow pencil and fix any little imperfections that I may see. Like I see that this brow is a little longer than this brow, so I'm just going in to extend the tail of this brow a little more. But just keep in mind the brows are sisters and not twins, honey. You're not gonna get both of your brows the same, ever. But no, so now I'm gonna go in with my MAC Studio Fix powder. And this is the shade NC42. And I'm just gonna use this powder to set the foundation that we used to carve out the brows. Whenever you use a liquid or a cream, you always want to go back with a powder to lock that liquid or cream product in place. All right, so the last thing that I'm gonna do, and I did not mention this product at the beginning of the video, but I'm gonna take a clear brow gel. And this one is just from Anastasia Beverly Hills. You can get clear brow gel at Walmart, very affordable. But I'm gonna take some of that brow gel and just brush it through my brow hairs. And that gel is gonna lock your brow hairs in place. And it's just gonna help to lock in that pencil too, so that your brows look like this all day. And that's gonna be that on that. Flicked brows in a matter of minutes. Thank you guys so much for watching my brow tutorial. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified whenever I upload videos like this. Thanks again for watching. Bye.